Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
the weaker vessel. Hello, are you there?
I am here. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just gonna go outside and eggs. My poor chicken run is so sloppy, and so I'm gonna try not to fall over.
Yeah, don't fall in the mud since you've had all the rain.
If we have, it's not the mud that I'm worried about. It's the things that are in. You know what I mean?
No, I know. That's why I just decided to go with mud. I figured our listeners didn't want a description. Yeah, see, I didn't think they wanted the picture.
All right, little guy. Okay, you said you were doing what with Henry?
Oh, I just took him to physical therapy, and then so now I'm back behind the local thrift store, hanging out, talking to you.
Nice. Well, I'm over here collecting some eggs. You went to the thrift store. We live very glamorous lives, clearly.
I mean, obviously, we do all the things. Listen, I have found all my kids their winter boots at this thrift store this year, and they've all been nice ones.
Excuse me.
I'm all about it.
Make way, ladies. Make way.
Like, you're stealing our children.
I mean, it's too cold. They can't survive if I move too fast. They'll attack me. So slow and steady is always my motto.
Slow and steady wins the race.
And I don't want to slip and die. Okay. Well, speaking of dying, the holidays are coming up quickly.
Yes, they are. I don't know why, but I always feel like they sneak up on me. It's like I know they're coming, but then it's there. I think it's because we have all of our, not all, but most of our birthdays and stuff for our family are in the fall too. So it's like as soon as it's like holidays and birthdays and Christmas, and it's like if we can just make it through January, then we've done it all.
And then you get January, and January is the worst though because all the fun is over.
No, it's true. And then I'm all sad because all the fun's over. But
are you the kind of person though who loves the January because it's all done? Like, is there a relief in that for you?
It's like,
or no?
Probably a little bit of mixed emotion for me. I am so sorry. The kids were calling twice in a row, so I thought something was wrong. And then I heard my daughter crying in the background. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, she's hungry, but she won't do her school. I'm like, just feed her. It's fine. It's only 30 minutes to lunch. She can have the things. So, I am kind of the person that's probably the middle. I really enjoy all of the holidays. But sometimes I feel a little mixed emotions because everything is right there, so there is a little bit of relief of making it through the holidays as well for me because of all the birthdays, because our nieces and nephews, they're during that time too. My in-laws,
gotcha.
Everybody's birthday is there. So once we get all through, I'm like, okay, we did all of the birthday parties and all of the holidays and it's all done. But at the same time, I'm sad because I really enjoy all the little parties and, hosting
all the activities.
And yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's mixed for me. I enjoy both.
We don't have any birthdays, but we do celebrate a lot of different holidays between basically Thanksgiving and New Year. There's a lot of activity. Our anniversary is right after Thanksgiving, and so it can get kind of busy too. Holiday parties and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Just kind of, it gets busy. And now that Biden says that COVID is officially a thing of the past, we can have holiday parties again. So that's something to look forward to.
No, I don't think we never really stopped. Well, I guess that there was a little bit of the stopping. My mom and my in-laws had stopped at one point, but everybody was sick too. So it's not like it really felt like anything. It didn't feel like it stopped because of COVID, in the sense of we want to prevent it. It felt like we stopped. We didn't do Thanksgiving that year because everybody had COVID. So
Yeah.
just nobody
Yeah.
wanted, obviously
Yeah,
cook a
I'm
turkey
thinking
and they felt horrible.
I really would like to do this is gonna be like a sidebar, but like the holiday, like your work parties, or like typically companies will have parties for their employees and things like that. That's what I really like miss. And I miss big church parties and big things like that. I think that is like such a fun thing to do that we just didn't get to do. In
No, I
years
agree.
past for an assorted, could be because we were sick, could be because whatever. But I'm looking forward to that again. I found this book and I've mentioned it to you, I think several times. It's by Williams in Sonoma, I think. It's like a cookbook.
Oh yeah. Yes, I've looked for it and I can't find it ever.
You probably could find it on like eBay or something, I'm sure. But it's like the coolest book because it literally will give you like ideas for parties, and then it gives you an entire menu, a decoration, like themed decorations, and it's just like the funnest little book. And so ever since I found this book, like last year, I've wanted to do like a fun black and white, like a fancy adult kind of Christmas party. I think it would be like so fun. So it's my goal for this year. I want to have like an adult, like,
Black and white's really in right now too, so it's like the perfect time to do the black and white. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Black. No, yep. That's the least in my world. It is.
So when I got this book, I actually got it at one of those Goodwills, like the bin Goodwills. You can like go and rummage, and I found this book, and I was like, well, it's like a few cents, so I'm gonna buy it naturally.
I mean, at that point, even if it would have been horrible, like, what did it matter? It's 2 cents.
Exactly. I love the Williams and Sonoma cookbooks in general. So if you guys ever find Williams and Sonoma cookbooks, like if it's a type of food or whatever that you enjoy, obviously, then go ahead and get it, because I find them very inspiring, and just like the aesthetic of it is very appealing. The recipes are generally very doable and reliable. So I love me some Williams and Sonoma cookbooks.
What was that? I did get one of those it wasn't Williams and Sonoma, but it was another cookbook that you had all kinds of dessert recipes in it. Was it Betty Crocker?
I mean, could be. Betty's pretty reliable too.
I know you use it quite a bit for several cookie recipes.
Oh, the Betty Crocker. I'm looking at my cookbooks right now. There's a Betty Crocker cookie book. Is that the one you're talking about?
That's the one I got, and I love that one. You had recommended it, and I found it actually at a garage sale for like 99 cents, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna grab it, because I was like, even if it's missing like a page or something, like, who cares, right?
Right.
Anyways,
it's old. It's from like the 70s, I think. Yeah. It's really good.
It's like my favorite go-to cookie cookbook.
It has just everything. It has rolled cookies, it has drop cookies, it has seasonal. It's very reliable. It's very good. If you guys find that one too, go ahead and snag it up.
My point is like, when it comes to the cookbooks, Ericha seems to, kind of have it down when it comes to those things. So far so good. You're running at 100% with me, so I'll listen to it.
I feel like this, it depends on your style of cooking too. And our styles of cooking are very similar. Like, it's very like home style.
Feed a bunch of people.
Have a bunch of kids. Yeah, like it has to be economical. Not that like our kids are terribly picky, because I don't think that they really are, but like I'm probably not going to feed my kids escargot on the reg. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's not a thing that we're doing. So
yeah, we're doing like, big hearty meals. We have boys, we have men to feed. It's got to be able to feed a bunch of them. We like to be able to invite lots of people over, and not, make sure everybody's, kind of more of a, I mean, I think of it as Southern, like more of a Southern style, like,
Although, did you listen to the latest Theologians episode?
No, I did not. Did they not like Southern style cooking?
No. Summer Yeager comes down pretty hard on Southern cooking.
Not all of us want to eat sushi every night, California people.
No, it's funny. Y'all listen to it.
Well, I'm teasing because I actually like sushi too, so.
Yeah, I don't like sushi. I don't like seafood. And it's funny because the Lord brought me to Maine. So, so just
maybe
know that if you have preferences, I don't know. He's gonna have to work that one out in my heart, right?
I mean, he's already working on it. He brought you to May.
There's much work to be had still. Um, with all of this though, and with all of this said, when we're talking about being hospitable and preparing for holidays and, just all the things that go into it, we're sitting at like right around Halloween right now. And basically from here on out, it's just going to be like one blur of hospitality and hosting and parties.
Constant rotation of people in the home.
Yeah, and like we're gonna have to just be intentional about making sure that we actually get to enjoy the season that we're in and that our attitudes and our heart properly reflect the Lord. And
that can be hard sometimes with like extended family and different things of that nature, because I mean, I don't know about other people, but my family seems to be made of an array of types of different things, people and beliefs and things of that nature. Not everybody thinks exactly the same ways like me and my husband do, which is really weird. I don't know why, but so yeah, I think sometimes, I know, some people don't get along with their in-laws or whatnot, but I think when you're hosting and during the season, especially as Christians, like we need to be very intentional with this time as we host them and being gracious and loving and, just showing, showing what God would have us do and how God would have us treat them and to host them and not have, they don't like my
yams.
My yams. They don't like my yam recipe. How dare they? Don't get your yams in a wad, people. They're just yams.
Right? And marshmallows do belong on yams, so deal with it. So let's start here. I think one of the best things that you can possibly do at this point, right? Like right around Halloween, is to just have like a little chit chat with your husband and say, like, what do we want our holiday season to look like? What are our goals? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to host that black and white party? Are we going to host Thanksgiving this year? Are we going to be the one, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Because everyone suddenly has expectations of you, whether it's extended family or your husband perhaps even has expectations, and you weren't aware of them, and now you suddenly feel like you failed.
Yeah, and how because they're making their plans for their holiday. And you're included possibly in those holidays, and you just need to kind of go along with the flow, or
You mean extended family, not husbands. Surely you're included in your husband's holiday.
I would hope so. If not, that's a whole nother issue for a whole nother day. But yeah, no, I think that there's expectations of how, I don't know, your mom might be doing her holiday and who she expects to show up and what they're going to bring and what's going to happen, or your second cousin or whatnot, and then you're included in that because you're part of the family and they think that they're going to host, or that you're going to host. Maybe they expect that you're going to host, and this is how you're going to host and what they expect, how it's going to look. And it's just kind of good to get a game plan and be like, okay, this is what we're doing for these holidays, and we're just going to go ahead and like put it out there.
Yep. And this is the beauty of having a husband too, ladies, is that he is your covering. So like if you have impossible in-laws or parents or whatever, like you get to be like, I don't know how to talk to them and I know it's going to be a fight. Would you mind talking to my mother for me? Or would you mind talking to your parents and telling them what the plans are so they don't flip out on me? Like you don't always have to be the one to take it. You have a husband who's probably more than happy to have those hard conversations. But women tend to just assume responsibility over things that we don't necessarily need to. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like is that just an us problem?
I have to host the thing because everybody's expecting me to, or I have to, make the yams or whatever. And really, like maybe, Susie wanted to bring yams, but she just, knows that you typically do. So she just kind of let you do it.
Right. And if you let your husband say, hey, Mom, we can come out this year, but we're flying, so I don't think that we'll be able to, probably bring hot yams on the plane. Could you just ask around and see if someone else would like to do that? Like sometimes
I
just
think
communication is good.
yeah, I think a lot of times that's what it is too. And I think that times where it is hard, and there are, expectations, I think, um, expectations that aren't met that people get upset about. I think sometimes it can be, your mom or your mother-in-law, and it's about the schedule. I think that's
Mhm.
probably the biggest thing is the schedule. And instead of people just saying, hey, we can't do that, or we can, like you can do the thing or host it at that time, but we're not going to be able to be there, so we can do it on another day or another time. And if you just kind
Mhm.
of communicate it and get ahead of it, then,
It makes everything easier.
then it's like 10 times easier. I know I always felt bad being in the military, like when we couldn't come. So when we could, I just like felt the thing to do all of the things. And then
Uh-huh.
when we moved back to the area, I was just like, we can't, we can't do all the
Yeah.
things. There's just too many because we have a rather large family. And I think once we communicated that, it has made a world of a difference for everybody.
Mhm.
I think everybody else kind of felt like they needed to do all the things too because we were here
Right.
and missed out on things before. So they wanted to make sure, oh, they get to do all the things and all the kids get to do all the things. And I think once we were
Mhm.
like, yeah, this is kind of exhausting when everybody's doing it. Can we
Mhm.
can we condense this a little bit?
Yeah.
And it made things a lot easier on us, and I think it made it easier on everybody else too. And that
Yeah.
was a
So that's
blessing.
like tip number one is just like get with your husband, figure out what your goals are. Like that's actually we can talk about this for a second, but how we wrote our family worship advent
Oh yeah,
that we have out with Ezra Press. You should go ahead and order you one if you haven't already.
yeah. You can get
Um,
it on Amazon.
called Behold Your King, by yours truly. By how do you say it plural? By y'all's truly?
Not y'all's, not theirs. By
I don't
us.
know.
It's by us,
By us.
truly. We're
So
such
stupid.
dorks. I don't know.
Um,
People listening to us they're probably like, I was feeling kind of bad about myself until I listened to Sondra and Erica.
right. It's fine. We're just here to help with your self-esteem. Um, but so yeah. Anyway, that's how we got to like even the idea of writing this family worship advent was because we really wanted to just ensure that our families were focused on what we wanted to focus on during that season, and that I don't know, it was just a very intentional thing for our families. And so we wrote a family worship advent, and that was all birthed out of just being very, very intentional with our holiday season. Um, so if you can start there, it really does just help you enjoy and savor the holiday season rather than feel like you're just like persevering through it, which, there may
Yeah.
be times where that is the case. But if you have some goals and you and your husband are on the same page, it really does alleviate a lot of stress. And both of our families have done that and do that every year. Um,
Oh yeah.
but I also, so we're saying like make a plan, but also I want to say like be flexible, right? Be flexible with
Yeah.
like your traditions, be flexible with your schedule to some extent, because sometimes it's going to look like someone ends up sick and now your Thanksgiving is going to look different than what you thought it was going to look like.
Mhm.
And if you are so bound to this like vision of yours, that will feel crushing and it can lead to guilt. It can lead to feeling like a failure. You know what I mean? And it doesn't
Yeah. Or
need to
like,
be that way.
was this even worth it? Was this even worth? That attitude it can
Yep.
turn into. And like you want to have the plan. You want to have like okay,
Yep.
we're gonna do Thanksgiving on this day, and we'd love for everybody to come visit and stuff.
Yep.
And then you have a sick uncle or something, and whatever, and it doesn't work out. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Or such and such can't come for 30 minutes later. Like, can we actually eat 30 minutes later? Like, just eat 30 minutes later. It's not going to hurt anything.
Mhm.
It's not going to hurt one thing.
Mhm.
Have
Yeah.
your plan so that you can be intentional with your time, so that you can do the Advent, so you can make sure you're focused on what really you're doing, or like giving thanks to the Lord and remembering. Like, that's why you want to have a plan, so that
Right.
the meaning of the season, the things that we are remembering, don't get lost in the rush of everything. But at the same time,
Exactly.
be flexible, because like we're all just human too, and things don't always work out quite as we had planned. And if
I
we're
mean, they
all
usually
just,
don't. They usually
yeah,
don't, actually.
if you're just so stuck on it has to be dinner at 6:30 and it can't be done at 7, then you're gonna miss the point. You're still missing the point.
Yep. And here's the trap too, that like we've done it this way every year and we have to have the tradition. It must be this way. This is the tradition. This is the tradition. And it's like, but you know what? Traditions can change, because at some point, like your kids are going to grow up and they're going to start their own traditions, and they probably aren't going to involve you. And that's good, actually, right? For your kids to go off and to cling to their new spouse and to make their own traditions, start their own families.
Yeah.
And that is our goal as parents. So it's good to even
yeah.
teach our kids, like when things change, and things will change as your kids get older, then that's okay. Our traditions can change too. And we are not bound by our traditions. Our traditions serve us. We do not serve the traditions.
That's right. I always tell my kids, like, there are plenty of things that I do right, and there's going to be plenty of things I do wrong. And hopefully the things or the traditions that I do right, you'll love to carry on with your family, but hopefully you'll continue to grow beyond me and make things better, and you'll, morph it to your family, and maybe your traditions will be something that teaches me. If we are lucky enough to be part of that tradition with you, then hopefully it'll teach me something too.
And as husband and wife, I think it is a newlywed lesson to learn, probably. But like you get married, you join a family, and like typically you don't think about like the Christmas traditions that you had growing up versus like your spouse's Christmas traditions. You know what I mean? And like how you're going to somehow marry both traditions together. Like you just kind of assume it'll happen naturally, and it basically never does. And like it's a thing where it's like, well, then I don't know. We need to be better about making new traditions together too. You know what I mean? Like once you get married, you kind of learn this, like we can take this from what your family did and we'll take this from what my family did. Those were great. And hey, we're going to start these new ones here because we think this would be really fun to do with our kids. And all of that is not an affront to how you were raised. It doesn't need to be. Like if your husband says, I do not like yams or sweet potatoes or whatever with marshmallows on it, could you please not? And then if your natural response is like, well, my mom and my grandma, my great grandma always da 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 da.
My great grandma made the marshmallows by hand every year and did it, and you just slapping her tradition in the face.
Right. Yeah, and it's like, or you can just realize that you're married now. Like you're making new traditions. And that's okay.
Good. Yeah, it's okay and it's good. It's good.
It's good. It's good. You are not like, you should never be like held hostage by your great grandmother's yam recipe. Like what a weird thing that we do. But we do that all the time with holidays.
Yeah, well, I think it's partially like trying to hold on to the nostalgia of our own childhood, which I mean is wonderful. Is wonderful. If your family did something like really great, and like our Advent,
and it blessed you.
Yes, we do the Advent every year, and I would love to see our kids like continue with the Advent, and and pass it down. Hopefully, they learn much from it, and it blesses them as much as it blesses us to get to do it every year with them. But if not, and they do something else, that points to Christ and everything, then so be it. That's great. I mean, it's going to be their own family, and they're going to have to find their own way to some extent, and have their own traditions. And my prayer for them is that whatever that may be, it just continues to praise God, and it continues to bring glory to His name. And that, at the end of the day, should be what it is. Not like, oh, I have to hold on to Grandma's yam recipe forever and make this every year at this time because that's what she did. Like, that's wonderful. Like, the Lord blessed Grandma with a wonderful yam recipe. But, I mean, is it really blessing anybody if turns out nobody wants to eat it anymore?
Yeah, then what's the point? Because now this This is the thing that now you are held hostage by, that no one actually cares for, no one actually wants. But like, you're going to make sure that you stay up until 10:30, the night before Thanksgiving, to make sure you're prepping for this stinking yam recipe that your husband doesn't even like and has asked you to make differently. But by golly, like, you will make it with marshmallows.
Well, and then you have to ask yourself, like, what is the point of the tradition that we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
What is this pointing towards? What is it doing? If
Right.
it's just like food in the belly, yes, food in the belly is wonderful. But once again, like, if your husband hates it and nobody eats it, then it's doing no good. But like, is this something that's pointing to Christ? And you refusing to give up the recipe and make something that would bless all the family much more. Like, who are we serving here? Are we serving grandma that passed, maybe? Or, what, ourselves, our nostalgia from our childhood? Or are we serving the Lord, and how are we bringing glory to him by this?
Sometimes I think it really is just like, here's the thing, right? I'm going to ask you a question. I'll put this in a question form.
Now I'm scared.
Okay.
Ask me questions.
If you are hosting Thanksgiving, okay, you're hosting Thanksgiving, your in-laws are coming, your parents are coming, obviously, like, your family's going to be there, your husband and kids. Yeah. And your husband has asked you, I do not like the marshmallow and the yam thing. Can you please just make it without the marshmallow? And you say, but my mom likes it with marshmallows on it because her mom made it that way. And your husband says, I know that, but I really prefer if you wouldn't. What do you do in that situation?
I probably would be like, okay, like, I hear what you're saying, and I'm good with that. I would probably, I'd be totally willing to make the thing for my husband. But my question would be to him, if I'm going to make a new recipe, one, I'm trying out something new, but also, like, are you going to eat something? Because nobody else might eat it. So like, if you're not going to eat it, if you're asking me to make something different, but then you're like, yeah, I'm probably not going to eat it because I just want extra mashed potatoes and gravy, then if I know 5 other people are going to eat it, I'd rather just make the thing I know people are going to make, if you're cool with that. But like, if you're going to eat it, I don't really care if anybody else eats it, because you're my husband, and I kind of care about you. I kind of like you more than I like other people.
Well, and you need to submit to your husband, period.
Well,
right?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's kind of the given, because I'm a Christian.
Right. I think my response would just be like, okay, but I'm going to submit to my husband. Like, if that's what he's telling me to do. If my husband tells me to make Cornish game hen for Thanksgiving, and I'm like, but I really don't want to make Cornish game hen because I really don't like it. He's like, no, babe, like, this is very important.
This is kind of a thing, because so my in-laws do come to our holiday things. My mom and my in-laws do it together, and that all started because we were in the military. It just made it easier when we were able to visit. So over the years, they just kind of started doing things together and realized that they just kind of love it. But my mom typically has hosted Thanksgiving for the last so many years, because my grandfather was living with her, and I have an uncle with ALS. So she's just hosted it because they couldn't really come if we were going somewhere else.
Couldn't travel, yeah.
Yeah. And so she always does her turkey in a bag, which is fine. There's nothing wrong. If you do your turkey in a bag, don't hear me saying that it's not worth nothing. But my husband doesn't like that. He likes it when I make my turkey, because I don't put it in a bag. I base it, and I literally inject it with butter. Like, I literally have a needle that I inject it with butter. So like, when you cut into it, like, literally juices flow. I baby this thing. And when we got married, I didn't know how to cook a turkey. I wanted to master it. I wanted to make my husband love my turkey more than anybody else's turkey. So every year now.
Should.
Exactly. So every year now that we've been living here, it's like this thing, because he's like, my mom, since she's hosting, makes the turkey, and then everybody brings sides. Like, she does turkeys, she does the turkey and does like 2 other things, and everybody else brings sides or desserts, and that's just kind of how it goes. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a normal thing. But my husband's like, Sondra, I really want your turkey. And I'm like, well, I mean, I can't really, like, just go to mom and be like, because I've tried it, hey mom, I'll bring the turkey, but my mom, like, gets insulted by it, and she's like, well, I'm hosting, I make the turkey. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, Scotty, this isn't gonna really work. So now we do Thanksgiving at my mom's, and then we come home and I make the turkey that he likes.
That's
And
hilarious.
he eats it, and my mom found out about it. And she was just like, "You make another turkey?" I'm like, "Well, Scotty really likes my turkey. I'm sorry, Mom. I offered to make it for you, but you didn't want me to." And she's like, "Fine, make your own turkey at home. I don't care." And she just got
Well,
over it.
there
And
you go.
Scotty and my husband is twice as happy now because he's like, "Now I get two turkeys." And my favorite
Because
one,
now
I
we get
get
all the
actually,
turkeys.
yeah. And now I get two turkeys. I get Thanksgiving at your mom's house, and I get like a whole nother Thanksgiving at home, and I get to eat that turkey all by myself. I'm like, "Well, honey, you could share it with the kids. That would be nice."
That's so
No,
funny.
but I know. So it is that has actually, that conversation has kind of come up, and I think,
Yeah.
if it's the turkey and someone else is hosting, there's only so much you can do, even if you want to submit to your husband. But
Right.
hopefully you have a loving husband who's just like, "Hey, I get two turkeys out of it now."
Right. Yeah. We're not saying don't use your brain. We're not saying just like
Yeah,
you can't ever make a solution. But your natural gut should be like, I'm going to submit to my husband. Like this is going to be
yeah,
a thing, and it could be a situation where this is all like an analogy, right? Like
yeah.
the
I mean, it
marshmallows and
breaks
sweet
down
potatoes.
everywhere.
The marshmallow sweet potato thing is like it's an it's an example. Obviously, I hope that this is not like such a thing for your husband that he really is causing
Such a
marital
division.
havoc over marshmallows. But like, this is just the analogy that we're going to use, okay? Um,
This is the
but
safe
it might
place.
be a thing where like it's such a big deal. The turkey is such a big deal that he says, I think we are just going to stay home this year and we're going to have our own Thanksgiving and then we can do Thanksgiving how we want. And then you have to say, okay, all right,
Yeah,
we can do that then.
I would submit to that, but I would ask him why the turkey was such a big deal. I
The
probably would have
turkey
to
is an
ask a question there.
analogy.
I know, but like if it really was something to that sort, I would have to be like, I would hope that it would be more significant than a food item. Unless it's
Right.
like you're like allergic, like everybody's like,
That's what I'm saying.
everybody,
Like, this is just the
yeah.
analogy. This is like not the actual
I
thing.
don't do great
Obviously,
with
I hope not.
analogies. I'm too type
Well,
A. I'm like, this doesn't work.
learn,
Maybe there's
persevere.
maybe there's a bigger issue here than the turkey. Let's get down to the business. Okay, when I just said that, I totally sang it in my head. The
Let's get down to business
yes.
to defeat the Huns.
Anyway.
Yeah, but like sometimes it just means whatever's happening, whether it's just like we're going to like your pagan relative's house and we do that every
Oh
year.
yeah.
But like now we've been growing in our faith and I really don't like how they celebrate Christmas because it doesn't feel right. Feels
Because
like
they're like worshiping the devil or something. Like maybe we should just not go to that Christmas. I
it
just wouldn't
feels
go
like
to that.
they don't honor the Lord and how they celebrate Christmas, and I really want to honor the Lord this way. And if we try and do that over there, we're gonna, just they've already told us to stop talking about God, and it's gonna cause a
Yeah,
drama.
I'd be like, yeah, I would, yeah. In those situations, I think you should just be so happy that your husband wants to lead you in that, and just be like, thank God I have the husband who's like, we're not doing the thing.
Yeah, and if that's the situation, then just submit to him. Submit to him in the
Yeah.
turkey, right? Submit to him.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is like we are laughing, and obviously like it's a joke. We're talking about turkey and marshmallows and whatnot. But like oftentimes submission to our husbands does look like something so small as marshmallows.
Yeah.
Like this sometimes it looks like you have to submit to him in the marshmallow escapades because there's going to be something bigger later on. And if you can submit to him in the marshmallows, you can submit to him in
The other areas, yeah. And I think that this can be a really hard concept too for, new Christians or Christians that have like grown in their faith dramatically,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
now everybody's like, oh, you've just changed everything, and you feel kind of guilty for it to some extent because you don't want to be unloving or uncaring to the rest of your family and things, or
Sure.
seem like you don't want to spend time with them on the holidays, but your faith has maybe changed so much
Right.
over that period of time, or you're a new Christian or whatever, that when
I was just
you're
talking with a girl about this actually. Her family, she wants to go to Christmas Eve service. Her and her husband do. This happened last year. They wanted to go to Christmas Eve service, and none of the other family wanted to go. But that family all got together on Christmas Eve, and they were going to open up some presents together and whatnot. And so this girl and her husband like literally told the rest of the family, you can go ahead and start without us, but we're going to go to Christmas Eve service, and then we'll just come over afterwards. That's the best we can do. But we're not going to miss church.
Yeah, and it can be hard because the rest of the family be like, well, you've just changed so much, and now you want, all of us to revolve around you. And sometimes it's, sometimes you do have to be the, like we said to begin with, like the flexible person who like looks at where the flexibility needs to be had and says, oh yeah,
it's going to cost us more gas if we have to backtrack across town, but we're willing to do it.
Yeah. Or the cousins, can't come until 6 o'clock or 6:30, and we were going to eat at 5. Like, I mean, like that's a flexibility that's like whatever. But then there's things that you are determined to do, like maybe the Christmas Eve service because of faith, because you are the Christians and this is important, and you're trying to raise your children up in the Lord, and this is an important thing regarding your faith.
Guys, keep going.
And so you have to stay more firm on that. But then you say, like you said, like the whole backtracking, like maybe you have to backtrack. Well, we're willing to spend the extra gas and backtrack right now because we do want to spend the time with you. But this also is going to happen. Like we are going to go to the Christmas Eve service, but we do want to spend time with you. So if you guys need to start and we're there late, we're okay with that.
Yeah.
And sometimes your family's just going to be upset about something like that, and they'll get over it.
And sometimes there just can't be a compromise too, right? Like sometimes it isn't as easy as just saying like, here's the compromise and everyone's happy and everyone kind of gets their way. Like there's a lot of situations in life where it doesn't work that way, where you can't compromise, and it just means on biblical principle. And that's really
I think a lot of like families where it's like you're the first Christians in your family, and you're the one who has to be adamant and loyal and intentional and show the intention of it. And it can be so much, it can be so much harder for that person than the person that has like the whole family of Christians who's like, oh yeah, okay, you got Christmas Eve service. Yeah, we'll just wait for you guys. Because I mean, or
we'll go with you.
Let's all go together. I think of like the family, like us, like who have family that, are Christians, like that makes it really easy. But then, when you are the first Christian in your family and you're the one, trailblazing, like making the changes, it can seem so much more harsh to that family that you're standing firm.
And this is the thing.
I think that's where we have to do it with love. Like we stand firm with love. Like we love you, but this is what we're going to do.
Adam Robles just did a really awesome podcast talking about speaking truth in love on his YouTube channel. And he was like, this is a lie that we've been told for so long, that like speaking the truth in love essentially means like whimpering about it, right? Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I really don't want to hurt you. And I know that abortion's wrong, but, just know that I love you anyway. And it's like we kind of just sissified what speaking in love actually looks like. But where the Bible talks about speaking the truth in love, like literally a couple paragraphs later, it talks about being angry and not sinning. So like speaking the truth in love can even include being angry about sin. So when we're talking about like being truthful and standing up for your beliefs, what we're not saying is like being apologetic about going to church. Yeah. Don't do that. Like if you're like, I'm so sorry I have to go to church, wrong. Don't do that.
No, I'm actually not sorry I have to go to church. I love you and I'm still going to church. I love you, but I'm still going to
Right.
church.
And I love you so much that I'm going to invite you to church because it's exactly
Right?
where you should be too.
Yeah.
You know,
Why don't you just come with us?
because the most loving thing you could do actually is to invite the people to go to church with you, not to be so sorry that you're ruining their plans. No, you should ruin their plans, and they should all come to church with you. That's what Christians believe, right? Is it not?
Nope. No.
But we become so loyal to the wrong people. You know what I mean? Like we're more loyal to the marshmallows than we are to the church service.
Well,
why is that?
Could it be possibly like a little bit of that 50s mindset of the family? Like, this is what the family looks like. This is what it is. And now we're just so loyal to the family that family has kind of become sometimes somewhat of a god, right? Like,
I mean,
so we bow down to them and we give in to their stuff instead of doing what we know is right at times.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Anyway, that was sort of a weird little rabbit trail talking about all the different things.
I mean, it's pretty normal for us. Let's just be real.
Yeah, it'll probably be that way. I hope that was helpful to some extent, just talking through some of the issues and sorry, I was like running up and down the stairs and I'm out of breath.
And remember to have a good attitude while you handle it all.
We're not done talking about the holidays. We'll keep going on this. We'll probably end this one here, and we'll probably delve into this a little bit deeper. I just think it's so important. Like, this is such an important thing, and literally, 10 weeks of our life are devoted to holidays, basically. So we should probably prepare our hearts for them a little bit.
Yeah, and make sure our intentions are there and what we're actually worshiping through this time. Like, why are we actually celebrating all of the holidays? Who should be getting the glory at every single one of these events?
And okay, I'm gonna say something hard. Okay, you ready for this?
I mean, yeah, do it. Just rip the Band-Aid off.
If you are going to pitch a fit over Christmas Eve service, but you have not been to church regularly in the last 11 months, shame on you. Because that will totally convict that's going to confuse your family, right? Like, this is the place that you decide to kick your heels in, but you can't even go on a regular Sunday. That's really confusing and a weird message. So what we were saying about, the faithfulness in the marshmallows will beget faithfulness in the turkeys, right? Like, if you're submissive to your husband in the small things, you'll be submissive in the big things. If you are obedient to God in your church attendance on a regular Sunday, then it shouldn't be much different any other day. It just should.
Yeah. And
it
should be the thing that they expect,
Exactly. Christmas is on a Sunday this year too. Did you know that?
No, that's kind of cool though.
Yeah. So
I wonder if our church will do something like they'll obviously have service, but I wonder what it's going to look like, because that'll be really cool,
Yeah. Our church is having a Christmas Eve service Saturday night, and then a normal worship service on the Lord's Day. It'll be Christmassy, obviously,
our church did Christmas Eve service. I mean, they did it last year. We're a new church for the CREC, so but I didn't go because I was pregnant and had crazy issues, so I couldn't really even leave my house.
You were on bed rest? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, so it's just it's a good thing to get a game plan and to kind of get ahead and start thinking through some of these things. That's all we're saying.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Walk in obedience. Honor the Lord.
Love your family.
Don't get into the love your wife thing again. We're done.
I said love your family. Your family. Love your husband, women. Love your husbands.
You said it again. I can't handle you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.